Let's start the recording. Here, what I want to do, I want to ask you to do this. I don't want to get involved to like starting this complete new project as Trimlet. I want to make sure that we all kind of go through the same process. But this is a new project and we want to start correctly. So how we'll do it? First, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to create a new folder and I will call it kiosk. Okay, or what is it? A smart kiosk. That was the name of the project, I think. Okay. So a folder like this, a smart kiosk. Inside the folder, you're going to create 3 folders, one for each layer. So click on the folder itself. First, create one folder. This is data. Okay. This is going to be our data folder. Now, make sure to click on the kiosk again, okay? Can you click on the smart kiosk? Okay, so you can see that this underline is inside under the folder, not under the data folder. Now, create a new folder, this time services. So you should have 2 folders under this directory now. Data, services. Next, create another folder, not under services. Actually, again, click on the smart kiosk and then click create a folder UI. So we have 3 directory now. You can see it here. Data, service, UI. Inside the main directory, we want to have our kind of an orchestra where the application starts. I said from the beginning, if you want, go with this idea that name the starting file as app.py. So let me just do that here in the kiosk, in the main directory. I'm going to add a new file, just app.py. Okay, so you can see it is in the main directory, not inside any of these folders. This is going to be our orchestrator, or at least where the application starts. We can simply type it here, import streamlit as st. Okay. Yes. Does it matter if there's already another one at that you? I created it inside the folder so it doesn't get confused, right? So if you want to run it, you have to run the directory. It's totally fine. Good question. Now, inside the directory for every project, we need to create a file called .gitignore, right? So let's do that as well. .gitignore. This is where you enter any file that you don't want to push to GitHub, right? That's what we have it. That's why we have this project. I know that sometimes we've been developing these codes without getting through these processes. That's why I'm starting from the beginning. So how we set up the project folder, app.py. Now click on the data folder. Under data folder, we're going to have our data layer. So under data folder, create a Python file data manager .py. Data manager.py. Under services, let's say, okay, I'm going to add a kiosk services.py. Under UI, One of the UIs is going to be, if you recall, like a customer would be able to place an order, right? That was one of the things that the user was able to use for this application. So one of the UIs is going to be, let's say, uh, okay, create order or just place order UI.py. You can call it a UI, you can call it a render, or just, and I guess UI here shows them those call it method, right? Okay, so we put the structure for building the application in multi-layers. This will force us to place our code in the right place, So, let me just start the app in order to start the application. So we can see how let's just add this one line of code, two lines of code. St dot not session set, sorry. Set page config. Okay, this is going to be smart. Yes. Set page config st dot header smart. This is why I say it's the orchestrator, kind of where we start, right? That's where we place our set page config, where actually the application will start. So I placed it in the app.py. Now I want to run it. You can also try to run this so you can see what you want to put in the terminal for running it. Streamlit run. After run, you have to specify the name of the file, but we can see that it's under a folder. So you want to specify the directory first. So after run, you will say a smart kiosk slash app.py. Okay, so here, this is my code. Have to specify the directory first, slash, and then app.py. Okay, so we can set up our the structure of our application before even we start actually developing it. So now we have the structure. We can see that it is working. A lot of times the application development or module development, you already have the application, even if you're adding a new module, it doesn't start from UI. That's the wrong way to go. That starts with understanding what data you're recording, how your database design looks like. That gives you the idea to build the data layer. Then the data layer gives you an idea to how to build the services. But for the services, again, you have to have an understanding of what this new module is going to provide for the application. The services are the functions of your application. The service layer is going to include functions of your application. You're asking the user, how are you going to use this application? They will tell you, I want to place an order. I want to be able to find an order. I want to be able to see, for example, if I'm an employee, I want to see orders that are placed for specific items. They tell you this, and you record them as a system analyst. You record them in the exploratory phase. When you start the application development, you record it into your service layer. You say, these are the functions. I need to build these services for my application. So they can use the system for finding orders placed for an item, so they can place an order and so on. I'm going to start from the data layer. I want to make sure that you recall a little bit about the homework, so every time we'll go through it. This is how the homework is started from the beginning. So we had an inventory list. We had a little bit of orders, something about the orders. And then we had some, I asked you to build some function here. So the user can place a new order, so they can do other functions as well. Here, I want to work on the data layer. First, import JSON. Why? At this point, we've learned we are recording information into a JSON file. At this time, we've learned that we import the data into a JSON file. At the data layer, you know two things. My system should be able to record information into a JSON file, read information from a JSON file. If you're building this application based on SQL-based database, this file is where you're going to place your SQL queries. I will show you an example later after this, not this week, later at some point. I have a data layer code which includes many SQL queries, and that's why I have it. When I look at the code, most of the things I see is SQL query. I don't see UI, I don't see services, just SQL queries. Here, it is simpler. We only deal with JSON files. So read information from a JSON file. Let me review this part now. Initially, how do we implement this? Usually we have this. Usually we have a path that we need to load the information from. So we check if the file exists, if the path exists. If it exists, we load the information into a list. If you have that concept in mind, you can simply develop this now here. So when we are developing these layers and we also developing them based on methods, everything has to be inside methods. Everything, not everything, the majority. Sometimes you will put some information outside the method, which we can talk about. Here, load data. This is one of the ways that the application is going to work, that they can load the information from a database. For loading the information, what do they need? They need to be able to check the path and then load the information. For that, we have an import. What was the import? It was from pathlib import path. So let's add it here. From pathlib import path. Now we can say JSON path, and it's a type of path. What does this mean? It means that you're specifying what is the data type. What is the data type? It's a type of a path. So in order to load the information, okay, we'll need the path. Let me add this here because I want to also mention one common practice. One common practice is that you just develop the methods with placeholders. Once you have a better understanding of what actually every method is doing, then you will develop them one by one. But initially, you can kind of put the main structure, okay? So for now, one of the methods we are going to have is a load data. One of the methods it's going to have is the save data. What does save data do? It means every time you're dealing with a JSON file, you have to specify where I'm going to record it, and also give me the list. That's how I can know where to record it. So you're going to give me a path or the directory where I'm going to record this JSON file, and also the list, because every JSON file is a list of dictionaries. So our okay, uh, let's say JSON file. Okay, I name it JSON file, and this is going to be a type of a list. Once you have the structure for the data manager now, or for data manager, now you can start implementing some of the methods that you have. Okay, so load data. First, I need to know if the JSON file or JSON address dot exist. If it exists, then with open JSON as if you want to read the information as F, then you can return JSON dot load F. You're checking if the file exists. If it exists, read it and then load it and return the list for us. So that means this method is going to return a list. We can specify that. Otherwise, just return an empty list. So you know that this method is returning a list. Could be a list of channels. You have already developed this, right? Here, you see the similarity here. What did you have? You would have to check if the path exists. If it exists, open it, load, use JSON load, and load it in the inventory. Now here, the method is only responsible for reading that information and returning it whenever it is called. How about saving the data? For saving the data, it's about just opening the address with writing as F and JSON dot dump. JSON file and F. So we separated the data layer now. What does our data layer do? It works for reading the information from a location and then also importing the information. Coding the information. I think to make sure that we see the structure here, let me do this here. Click on the smart kiosk, create a new file. Okay, create a new file in the main directory. Let's create it in the main directory. This is going to be inventory.json. 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 What is it? It's a list. It's a list of dictionaries. Let me copy it from the practice that we already developed, so we kind of have that example. So what is that? I will just add one example because we are going to follow the same one. Okay. Assuming that this is our database, okay? So we have an inventory file, JSON file, we have the item ID, espresso unit. Change this to a string because I think that's what we are going to do. Let's change it to a string, okay? Now, let's go back to your directory again. This time, let's create orders.json. Orders.json. Again, the JSON file is a list of dictionaries. For the orders, what we had, let me see what we had for the orders. An example would be here. I will just copy it. Okay, order, but let me, so for our item, it was 1, then quantity, 2, the status price, total price. We can calculate that. Okay. Okay. And I will just keep it here. Okay. Technically, you're initializing or just having some base to start with. So this is our orders and this is our JSON file. For the inventory, we are recording item ID, we are recording the name, we are recording the stock. Okay, we are unit price as well. For the orders, for order ID, quantity, status, and total. All right. Let's go back to the data layer. This is our data layer, okay? And that's about it with our data layer. Our data layer is designed to load the information. You see, it is not designed for a specific assignment, a specific JSON file orders, JSON orders. It is designed to load the data or record the data. Let's move on. Now we're going to the services. Services is one of those things that kind of I would think it's much easier if you had an understanding of the business. What is it that you're developing the application for? Here, what I'm going to do, the only thing I want to add here, do I have one thing? Oh, okay. I will add UUID. I think that's the only import I want to add. It's our, okay. How do we identify the services? This is the question that often becomes the confusing part. I'm going to start from here, okay? This application, you're building the application. Let me go add the list quickly, and then I will let you do this as well. Some of the things, okay. One more thing, one more, and I will go back to it. So, okay. Some things I kind of find out, or at least from that file. First, one of how the user is using your application. The user is using your application to place an order for an item. How the employee is using the application. They're using the application to find orders placed for an inventory item. To find out how many orders are placed for an item using item ID. Okay, so you're seeing the functions of this system, functions of the system. Every function has to be, most major functions will end up being a method, unique method. Method names will give you a hint. Look at this name and find the verb nouns. Verb nouns on the function. Place an order. Find orders placed, which means that if you translate it, it's like count orders by item ID. find how many orders are placed for an item. So that's the count order by order, count orders by item ID. Find orders placed for an item using item ID the same way. Actually, I thought this was a different one, so I'm going to write it here. Find item in inventory. Okay, item, let's say information. You're looking for a specific detail of an item in the inventory. So you see, they're verb nouns. These are functions of your system. Functions of your system. If they're functions, they will be placed in the services. In the services. For each of these functions, you're looking for a new method. And with a placeholder. With a placeholder. I'm going to start here. One of the functions of my system, let me actually keep this high and I will definitely define it here. One of my functions of my system is place order. I don't need to exactly know how they will work. I've already figured it out, these functions. How? By talking to my users and seeing how they will use the application. So this is a phase before application development. Okay. Generally, this is a phase before application development. Define, okay, find inventory, find inventory item. I just want to make sure that this is part of our inventory. By item ID. The name of the method will be very descriptive. Should be descriptive enough to give you exact view of what that method is going to do, descriptive. But it will always start with a verb because it's a function. It's a function that is supposed to do find inventory item by item ID. For instance, one function could be update order status. Okay, update order status. How is it going to implement it? I don't know, but that's one of the things. One of the things is that the system should be able to update the inventory item order. One of the functions should be cancel order. How? At this point doesn't matter. These are the services. These are the functions of the system, right? Do they make sense when you look at them? Every function is one task of the system, one way that the user can use this application, okay? Find an inventory, place an order. You can write down so many other features. What are the other features? I'm not gonna write it down. Update inventory, right? That's one of the things. Let's say, what else? Add a new item to the inventory. Make changes to the inventory. View the list. One of the ones, right? We had this here. How many orders are placed for an item? Okay, so that means a function that says count orders for item by item ID. The person who's going to use this function at a different level doesn't care how you develop it, but they know what it does. They know count orders. It counts the orders by item ID. Right? This is how you connect different layers by giving informative methods so they can use it without knowing how they work. Now that we are placing everything inside separate modules, you want to be able to create this connection. That connection comes with this informative naming. Let me focus on place the order. For placing an order, what do we need? be able to place an order. You want to have the inventory. You want to have what item the customer requested to order. You want to know the quantity. You want to know the list of orders already. And then you can record the information. Everything that you need to know before performing the task, these are methods of parameters, method parameters. So let me repeat that. Everything you need to know here to be able to perform this task, to place the order. Before doing that, you need to know that these become your method parameters. So for placing an order, you're telling me in order to place an order, I need to know inventory. I need to know inventory, which is a list. I need to know the orders, which is a list. I need to know item ID, which is a string. And I need to know quantity, which is int. You have to give me this information so I can place the order. Okay. You have to give me these pieces of information so I can place the order, right? You have to tell me what is the inventory we have, or list of the inventory. What item is placing, we are placing the order for? What are the already orders? What are the orders that we already have? And then the quantity. Now, let's start from here. For placing an order, now think about placing an order. What are the steps you take to place an order? So I want to find item in the inventory. Why? I want to check if it exists. If it exists, then I want to check if the quantity, if the stock is greater than the quantity asked. Okay. If that's the case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to reduce the inventory, then place the order. Is that correct? Do you think these are the steps we take to place an order here? We have to check whether the item exists in inventory. If it exists, then whether we have enough quantity. If you have it, then do that part. Now, let's look at this. Every time we are looking for a verb noun, we are thinking, should it be a different method? Find item in the inventory. Do we have it or we want to add it? It's a verb noun. It's a verb noun. It's a task. Find item in the inventory. We already have it. So what is going to do, it is going to give us item, find inventory item by item ID. So I'm going to give it the inventory and the item ID. If I do that, then it should give me the item. It should give me the whole information about the item. Oh, it's a inventory. Why do I keep making this mistake? Inventory and then inventory. Okay, inventory. Okay, now I can go and develop this find inventory by item ID. So in order to find the inventory, you have to give me a list. You have to give me a list of the inventories we already have and item ID. If you give me the list and also the item ID, my task is clear. I should find it, and if I find it, I will return the complete information. So for that, I will do a simple search, item in inventory. If item ID is equal to item ID, then return item. your separations of concerns that start from here, that every method is responsible for a clear task. If you can separate as much as possible, then you will have a system that is super modular, right? And you can use it over time. You know, you're not going to only use this inside this place order. You're going to have to use this to find an item in the inventory for many different reasons. So if you place this code inside that method, then again, you have to copy paste it later. But if you place it inside the method, you're going to reuse this method. You develop it one time and reuse it every time. One time I'm reusing it is here. One thing I want to add here, okay, outside the for, because this method is supposed to return a list to us, okay? In method design, you don't need to add the break here, then you add a return, okay? So when it finds and returns, finds the item, it will return it, so it stops and goes out of this method. But if you went through the list and couldn't find it, you should have an idea because you're expecting this method to return a list. Now we've developed this, okay? So here, if item so if it exists, if item quantity or stock, sorry, stock is greater or equal quantity. Now we can actually remove this pass through because we're developing the method. You see, I'm following exactly the already structure that I have for this method. So if quantity is greater than a stock, then we can place the order. So first item a stock is going to be item a stock minus quantity. Something is wrong here. Item quantity. This is going to give us no, not this one. I see what is the error here. Item. Okay. Think that doesn't work. No. Check this. Okay. It is definitely related to comparison, the error here. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Okay, so you don't get the error? No? Oh, thank God. So the code is correct then. Okay, so if item then why do I get this then? If item quantity is greater or equal item and not quantity. Okay.
It should be stock.
Oh, yes, the stock, but it is not able to identify that. I'm going to do that. Okay. Okay. If as long as yours working, you can actually do that. I'm gonna add this. So item, I will check this why mine is showing error. I will just develop the code here, which is going to be item. A stock is going to be item as stock minus quantity. Quantity. Okay. So do that. Then, okay, then let's calculate, since maybe it actually shows an error here as well, I will place it inside this just in case, which is item. Now, it is going to be total cost, okay? Total cost is going to be item, stock, or no, what was it? Unit price. Okay, so it is going to be unit price multiplied by quantity. Okay, let me take it out so you see if it, yeah, it still shows that error. Okay, total cost. I will just place a total cost here. You don't need to put it if you don't see that error, just add the code. If not, just let add a number. I will check this after class. Okay, now new order. New order. What's new order? It's going to be ID, str uuid dot uuid. Okay. Item ID is going to be item ID. Okay. Quantity is going to be quantity. Okay. A status. It's every time if you add a new order, it is going to be the status is just placed. Total cost is total cost. Okay. Once you have it, then that's when you can add to the orders list the new order. Okay. The new orders list. Oh, dot append new order. Add the new order, then you can actually return the new order. Okay. Not the order, it's new order. This one is just about if you want to you already recorded it into the orders list, but you also want to return the new order. You don't you depend on the design. So this is kind of a design choice. If you want to return the order or just comment it out, and that's where you end up ending your search. Okay, so place the order. Let me move this above it.
Let me be order ID.
Oh, okay, good. This is, so it should be order ID. Correct, thank you. Can we quickly review this? What happened? So in order to place the order, you have to have the list of inventory items. You have to have the orders list already. You have the item ID. That's the one that the user is requesting, and then quantity. First, find item in the inventory. Okay, wherever, whatever is it, we don't know here. We just call the method. That's the idea of method design. So you call the method to perform a function. Find the item. If the item exists, then calculate this and place the order, and that's about it. So we implemented this. Now our system is able to perform one function completely, place an order. We developed the function. We haven't developed the UI yet, but the system is working to perform that function. Next, we will develop the UI for it. Okay, we can stop here. I will check why my case shows an error and I will fix it later. Okay, let me take the attendance here. And then please, you can take a screenshot from wherever you are here at this point and submit it for class practice, just so in case that we follow it. That's about it. It's not about like evaluation or anything. Thank you. We'll complete the next layer, UI layer, and then actually see how we can use all these layers next session. Okay. If we can finish only one function, that's enough for us. For the by the end of next session. Yeah, just wherever we were here. Just if you develop the code, I mean, just where we are.
It's our screen, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because.
No, no, you're.
For the data UI and service layer, so for now, I think I've worked on the data layer so far. And you said that, so in our project, we also have to follow the same format, like, creating a separate tab or just. Because what I did was, right now, my app.py already had a certain code before, the second part of the project, the base second, but now I just deleted like the old part I had, which had like inventory, and I put in the define function. So is that
So
fine?
for now, in this phase, I think if you're working on your project, you're just thinking about refactoring. Just placing functions, those services, those data layers into methods. Because next we'll learn about classes and actually replace all these methods into class by class, which we'll see what they are and how we use them. So it's two-step process of refactoring. One refactoring to methods, and then refactor. It is going to be much simpler, or at least much less work. Once you have it, then moving it to a class, which is exactly just moduling everything. Okay, so for now, just think about this. Just go over your code and see which part should be placed into a method. That's it.
Which part?
Should be placed into inside methods. Okay, so you define the methods and place them in the methods and replace them in your code.
Defining method is like defining and then putting it past.
Yeah, exactly. So we define the methods here and we should use them when we place the order. We call them, right? Okay, so if I had, okay, we need to move the class, leave the class. So let's say this was my code, okay? This was my code and where was like the placeholder, right? This whole thing is a placeholder order. So that would be just calling the placeholder like method. Okay, because now that's how I do it. I use the methods to do it.